The majority of our muscles extend from one bone to another and cross at least one joint. At each end, the muscle is connected to the bone by a tendon. Aponeurosis are broad sheet-like tendons. A retinaculum is a band of connective tissue that holds down the tendons at each wrist and ankle, so retinaculum. Muscle contraction causes most body movements by pulling one of the bones toward the other across the movable joint. However, not all muscles are attached to bone at both ends. For example, some facial muscles attach to the skin, which moves as the muscle contracts, such as when smiling. So, ang facial muscles, it's not attached to the bone, but to the skin. So the 2 points of attachment of each muscles are its origin and insertion. The origin is the most stationary or fixed end of the muscle. In the case of multiple origins, each origin is called a head. So kung multiple, head na ang kada origin. Then the insertion is the end of the muscle attached to the bone undergoing the greatest movement. So muna siyang insertion. Origins are usually, but not always, proximal or medial to the insertion of a given muscle that is movable. So, proximal or medial na siya. Mao na ang insertion. The part of the muscle between the origin and the insertion is the belly. The specific body movement a muscle contraction causes is called the muscle's action. Muscles are typically studied in groups of agonists and antagonists. The action of a single muscle or group of muscles is opposed by that of another muscle or group of muscles. For example, the biceps brachii flexes, so kung mag-flex, nag-bend, the elbows, and the triceps brachii extends the elbow. In the example of elbow flexion, the biceps brachii is the agonist, siya mo flex, while the triceps brachii is the antagonist, siya mo extend. So when extending the elbow, the muscles' role are reversed. The triceps brachii is the agonist and the biceps brachii is the antagonist. Most joints in the body have agonist and antagonist groups or pairs. So muscles also tend to function in group to accomplish specific movements. Members of a group of muscles working together to produce a movement are called synergists. So, di ba na atay mga synergists? One movement na siya. One group of synergists includes the deltoid, biceps brachii, the pectoralis major working together to flex the shoulder. So, mao na siya ang kaning deltoid, biceps brachii, and pectoralis major. So, they work together to flex the shoulder. Another example of synergists is the biceps brachii and the brachialis working to flex the elbow. So, among a group of synergists, if one muscle plays the major role in accomplishing the desired movement, it is called the prime mover. So, kung ang one muscle siya ang naidakong part, so siya ang prime mover. The brachialis is the prime mover in flexing the elbow. Fixators are muscles that had one bone in place relative to the body, while a usually more distal bone is moved. For example, the muscles of the scapula act as fixators to hold the scapula in place, while other muscles contract to move to the humerus. Furthermore, many muscles are members of more than one group, depending on the type of movement being produced. For example, The anterior part of the deltoid muscle functions with the flexors of the shoulder, whereas the posterior part functions with the extensors of the shoulder. So, ano siya ang example sa kaning mga muscles that are member of more than one group. The name of a specific muscle is based on at least 7 characteristics. You have the location, the size, the shape, orientation of fascicles, origin and insertion, the number of heads, and function. So, mao na siya ang 7 characteristics to name a specific muscle. So, when we say of location, example, a pectoralis, the chest muscle is located in the chest. Then a gluteus, the buttocks, muscle is in the buttocks. And the brachial arm muscle is in the arm. So, muna siya location. Then we have the size. The gluteus maximus large is the largest muscle of the buttocks. And the gluteus minimus, the small, is the smallest. So, a longus, meaning long, muscle is longer than a brevis, short muscle. In addition, a second part to the name immediately tells us there is more than one related muscle. For example, if there is a brevis muscle, most likely a longus muscle is present in the same area. The next, the shape. The deltoid is triangular. Muscle is triangular in shape. A quadratus, quadrate muscle is rectangular, and a teres, round muscle is round. Next, orientation of fascicles. Erectus, meaning straight or parallel, muscle has muscle fascicles running in the same direction as the structure with which the muscle is associated, whereas the fascicles of an oblique muscle lie at an angle to the length of the structure. The next, origin and insertion. The sternocleidomastoid has its origin on the sternum and clavicle and its insertion on the mastoid process of the temporal bone. The brachioradialis originates in the arm, brachium, and insert into the radius. Then we have number of heads. The bicep muscle has 2 heads, origins, and the tricep muscle has 3 heads, origins. Then we have the function. So function, for example, abduction and adduction. So adductors are the muscle that cause the type of movement to move toward the midline. Then abduction or abductors move a structure away from the midline. So mao na siya ang part sa function.